Just waiting for the stream to catch up.
I wasn't sure if you like had got on and played it all, or if it was like you literally got your character and you're like, here we are.
I just set my character
So
up. I have played WoW. Okay, hold on just a second.
I wasn't sure if you like had got on and played it all, or if it was
Perfect.
like you literally.
Okay, audio check is complete and we are good to go. But yeah, I was saying I have played World of Warcraft before, so I am familiar. So I didn't really feel a need to get on and like mess around too much. I figured I'd be able to
Fair
jump in.
enough.
Yeah.
You're probably, even with that experience, way better than me. I just started playing like last year, a few months ago, I would say. My husband was like, you need to try this. I think you'd like it. And I'm like, I just don't have the gamer skills that he does. And so I'm like, how do I do this thing? And he's like, it's so easy. You just press this button. I'm like, oh, well, I didn't know that. Thanks.
Yeah, I will say like the first thing Matt, my husband, did when we got married, it's 19 years now, was he got me into World of Warcraft just because he knew that he played so much that it would not work out if I wasn't playing too. It was kind of marriage insurance. But anyway,
Honestly, it works. It's good.
yep. Um, this is Heidi slash HL Burke. We're starting another author gaming chat, and we're here with Sydney. And I'm sorry, is it Frusti?
It depends on who you ask. I say Frusti. Some people say Frusty in the family, but Frusti, Sydney Frusti.
We have heard it both ways. Okay. And why don't you introduce yourself to the stream for me?
Sure. As Heidi just said, my name is Sydney Frusti. I am a YA or young adult fantasy author. Um, and I just published and released my first book in November, so a couple months ago. Um, and I am a mom of three kids. I like homeschooling, hence why I'm a little bit nerdy. I mean, aren't we all a little bit nerdy?
Oh, yes.
um, and yeah, I love all things fantasy, gaming, dice. I have an absurd collection of dice. And I find plants very fascinating.
Awesome. And her links are in the video description if anyone wants to check out her stuff. I would just turning on some settings that I like a little better in there.
Yes.
All right, so.
Yeah, thank you for that shout out. I'm like, this is honestly like the first time I've ever done a stream or anything like that. So I'm always forgetting, like, oh yeah, tell people about the things, all the things.
You have to keep doing it over and over again. It's like, it feels like that's 90% of my job is just repeating that I have books to the internet over and over again.
I mean, repetition, right?
Yep. The algorithm likes that, or so I've been told.
That's what I've heard too, but this mysterious algorithm that we're all, told about.
Okay, so yeah, just what is my quest? I have to go kill kobolds. You want to go kill kobolds with
Yes.
me? Kobolds. I can't.
I also do. Yeah, so I actually picked up a couple of quests before we got on while I was just like getting reacquainted with the game. So, did you just go outside? I'm sorry,
yes,
I'm
I
so
just
bad.
went outside.
All right. So I think there's a little kobold camp over here, off to the side somewhere.
Yeah, it's this way. I vaguely remember. Like, oh yeah, it's this way.
Yeah, I think we're headed the right direction. Maybe. Do you need wolves too?
I don't think I grabbed that one. Is that from this guy over here? Yeah, I need to talk to him.
I think so.
Awesome. So, the one thing I did definitely notice when I was poking around your site before this was the stuff about flower meanings. Now, how'd you get into that?
It's hard for me to even recall how long or like where it first started. I guess to better explain that, I can probably explain it by talking about like the book I just published, Lily's Passage. I started writing it when I was in high school or middle school. I don't know. It was a long time ago. Anyway. And so in the first version of that book, when I was working on it, I flower meanings kind of became an important part of the plot and remain an important part of the plot even now. And so I think I don't know, it just kind of evolved from there. Like as I was doing research for the book, I started learning more and more and being like, wow, this is really fascinating. And then I stumbled upon floriography is what it's called, which is like the language of the flowers. Um, if you're familiar with like Victorian history or anything like that, um, it was really popular back in the Victorian era, like sending these coded messages through flowers. Um, so I guess, I don't know, I'm a history nerd. That's kind of part of where it came from. And I just find it so fascinating that we have things in our real world history that are, um, uh, I guess, like secret codes, the type of thing that you would find in a fantasy novel. And so I just felt like the two kind of went hand in hand together. So
I am a
I
little
don't
bit of
know. Yeah,
a cryptography nerd. Like I'm not good enough at math and like program the stuff to do like really complicated ciphers, but I do love a good cipher
yeah,
and different ways to send messages and stuff. I think that's all really intriguing. I do that some with my TTRPG groups and stuff like that. It's and I put like my my current book that I'm working on right now is set in this in an evil escape room.
oh, I love that. That's so cool.
But yeah, it's fun. You said that it was a big part of the book, the flower languages. Can you give us a little bit how it factors in without spoiling it?
Sure. So in my fantasy world that I created, basically there's a bunch of different, I guess, races of sentient beings and stuff. So you have, elves, which are kind of similar to maybe Tolkienian elves. And you have fairies, which are a little different than what people normally would think of with fairies. They're instead of like the small little winged sprites, they're kind of more, regular human size. Um, Kind of based on like our real world gypsy culture. And so the fairies, like floriography and the language of the flowers is a very um, it's like a huge part of their culture within the world. The secret code, the secret language that they have to communicate with each other. And so it's a big part of the plot because I mean we learned this pretty early on in like the first or second chapter that there's a civil war going on in the land, and the elves and the fairies are kind of the two main groups involved, and they don't really get along very well. And so typically anyone who is seen as, being friendly towards the fairies or kind of sympathizing with them or their cause are not looked too kindly on. And one of the narrators, the book is told in dual POV. He happens to be part fairy, and so he's not, not really, people don't treat him very well. So that's kind of how the language of the flowers factors into the book, and into the world building that it, like in, our modern, or not modern, like in our real world usage, I guess, with the Victorians, it was used as a way of communicating covertly because not everyone kind of knows about it within the world of Alderdale, which is uh, my world.
So is what would you say is like the more is it like a medieval Europe style world Alderdale, or do you have other inspirations for that?
Um, I would say primarily, yeah, it was inspired by medieval Europe because I mean, I grew up reading, you know, Tolkien and all like, your regular high fantasy stuff. Not regular, but things based on like the medieval Europe. Um, and so I would say it's mostly that. However, there are elements taken from um, other sources, I guess, inspirations. Um, one of the one of the main cities within the world is like kind of based on a Roman style. Not as much in like architecture, but more in like, okay, militaristic power. They have like, bathhouses, that kind of a thing. Um, and then even later on, the Elven culture, which we don't really explore in book one, but this is the first of this trilogy. The Elven culture is based on like the Babylonians and more of like your desert and Middle Eastern cultures.
I like that. I don't think we see a lot of Middle Eastern inspired fantasy. I think that there's a couple I can think of off the top of my head, but it's not as common. I think it's kind of I like there's something comforting about that old school what we probably most of us grew up with medieval fantasy style, and it's nice and it's homey, and I love it. Like I like a good D&D session that starts in a tavern. That said, I do like it when
Right.
you can explore some other things and just give you that little extra bit of flavor.
I totally agree. And so like I live in Tucson, Arizona, and so here I am, even though I did grow up in, outside of Arizona where it's a little more common for like, your trees and stuff in the Midwest. I feel like the desert isn't represented in a lot of fantasy and our what's the word, like the ecosystem and stuff. And so I wanted to kind of do a little bit of that with my world building, like, and obviously a world is a very vast place. So there's lots of different biomes and places within the world I created, but I don't know, I just wanted to do a little bit more like representation of, oh yeah, these desert people, obviously we're different than even out in the Middle East, but there's elements to be kind of incorporated in from all of those different areas that hopefully give it a unique flavor. I don't know.
I've killed my kobolds, and now I'm going to go hunt wolves.
Yeah, I killed my kobolds also and my wolves.
I need 5 more wolves.
Okay, I will help you. Okay, not gonna lie, I did the wolves before we got on because I was trying to level up to get rogue training, so
Ah, sneaky rogues.
I know.
I am playing
We
my.
just can't help ourselves.
I just started a new D&D campaign. I'm playing a rogue for the first time, so
Oh
I'm
yeah?
happy about that.
Yeah, I haven't been playing, WoW for super long, but I kind of just really like the rogue feel, the vibe. Definitely casters are like too complicated for me.
See, I love to be able to play Fireball. If I can play something that will throw fire, I will go for something that can throw fire. That is my ultimate goal. Plus, if you play a mage, you get portals, which I love being able to just go wherever I want real fast.
True. That is super useful. It's way better than like running around all over the place. That was one reason I was like, let's do human because the quests I feel like are a lot closer together than say if we played Horde, where you're like running all over Orgrimmar.
Well, even the dwarf gnome start zone, I find like I feel like your human is definitely more compact. I prefer, yeah,
Hmm.
just for that. Though I think my usual, if I had to pick my ultimate World of Warcraft character, it is a gnome mage. I love playing a gnome, like being short and having a
Okay.
squeaky voice. So, do you
Did
currently
you
have?
get all your wolves? Oh,
This is
sorry.
my last wolf. Do you currently have 2 books out? Is that correct? I was trying to get an idea.
No, I just have one out. I'm kind of working on the second book, which is like the sequel to Lily's Passage. So yeah, I like I said, my first and only book I just was released in November of this past year, 2025. So it's only been out for a couple months.
Congratulations, that's exciting. It's your first one.
Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of been a wild ride because in September I just had a baby, and then my book released in November, so that was just like a wild ride. And then of course the holidays are always a busy time as well.
So, this I think first books for me they take longer than every subsequent book. So, like, what was your timeline for publication?
You need something?
I feel like my timeline was a lot longer than what it would be. Sorry, I got distracted because I was trying to pick a reward. um, so my timeline, I signed my publication um contract, I guess, with my publisher back in February of 2023. So I had written the book at that point, but then it still had many rounds of editing and other things that I needed to do. plus I had to fundraise. So I kind of went a different route than a lot of people do now. Like you either go trad publishing or you go fully indie. And I did a hybrid publisher called Redemption Press. They're, I guess among like, I don't know, the Christian publishing world, kind of a name that people recognize. I hadn't really heard of them until um, I came across them at a women's retreat that my church did, but that's a totally different story. Anyway, so my timeline was like, I signed the contract in 2023, had to fundraise for a couple of years. Once I got the fundraising done, then it was like, okay, we have all these edits. I did a complete rewrite after the line edit was done because the original was about 153,000 words, which for people who are like not familiar with publishing or whatever, that's like the size of Return of the King from Lord of the Rings. And it just didn't need to be that long. It wasn't really to industry standard. So I edited down to about 70,000 words.
Oh, wow, that's a big cut.
Yeah, it was a huge cut. I mean, and then of course, everyone who knew me was like, are you like, did you get rid of so much plot? I'm thinking, well, my response was, well, no, I just got rid of all the unnecessary words. Like there were literally chapters of characters sitting in trees thinking about things that just happened. And I laugh about that now, and my husband laughs about it because he read all of those chapters originally and was like, yeah, I'm glad those aren't in there anymore. Because they just slowed the plot down,
Yeah.
And I grew a lot as a writer. Like I really needed that time away, or not away from the book, but the time to kind of like figure out that, okay, my book wasn't as good originally as I thought. Knowing what I know now, I am definitely going to be a lot more prepared for publication of my second book. I'll have got it in much better shape by the time I, start publishing again. So anyway, yeah, it was roughly almost 3 years, or no, wait, math, about 2 years from the time I signed the contract until it was published. And a lot of it was just fundraising. It really didn't have anything to do with, anything other than that.
Gotcha. And you said you just had a baby. Is this also your first?
No, this is my third baby.
Well, congratulations.
So, thank you. Yeah, my first, so I have two daughters, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and then I have my son, who I just had in September, who's 3.5 months old. So partly, I don't know, him being my third child, I was like, I think I know what I can and can't handle, I said, and then laughingly, I'm like, what on earth was I thinking? That was crazy. Thinking I have it all together and then trying to publish a book and all of these things. But as we like to say, life goes on, it doesn't stop just because we have kids or family or other things.
See, I kind of did the same thing. So when I first got married, I'd always been kind of, writing was my thing, and I was always writing. But then after I got married and I had a kid, I got married in December, and then so there was a year flip, but so she was like born 13 months after we got married, so pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
And after I had Corinne, that's my first, I was just like, I don't feel like writing right now. I just feel like focusing on this. And I did that for, almost for 4 years. And then I had Claire. And for whatever reason, having my second one, it was like, maybe it's time to go back and do that again, even though it makes less sense because now I have 2 kids. And I have a dog now, and I've got like all this stuff, which you would think would make it so it is harder for me. But for some reason, it's just the right time. Yeah,
I totally know what you mean. I started seriously writing again because I've always been a writer. I think that's how it is with a lot of people. But once I became a mom to my first, became a mom, had my first child, it was like 2021, and I had just basically given up on my dream of being a teacher because that's like my background is in elementary education. My first and only year of teaching was during the 2019-2020 school year. That was fun.
Yeah.
And so I had finally kind of felt like God had said, okay, like you need to stop trying to be a teacher. That's not really what I have for you right now. I'm like, okay, fine. But then I'm like, well, what do I do? I'm like sitting at home with my baby and I like it's COVID. So a lot of like, Arizona was pretty open at that point. Like, things were happening still or again, but I didn't have that much to do. I mean, I was like home all the time by myself with my baby. And anyway, so that's when I picked up writing and started pursuing it more seriously, just with a blog at first. And then it was not until later that year that my brother and my husband both were like, what happened to that one book that you were working on a long time ago? I was like, I don't know. And yeah, that's kind of how that all started again.
Yeah, I find that like sometimes it just has to be that right timing, and there's pauses in your life, and I like to say that um, just having that period where I was just focused on my family and moving around because we were military and that kind of stuff. It was like it really flavored how I wrote when I started again, and kind of like I think matured what I was working on between then and that. 'Cause when I was 18, 20, it was pretty cheesy stuff I was up to.
Need help?
Yeah, no, I totally hear you on that one. And I feel the same way about my writing. Like when I picked the book up again that I had been working on, I was like, I read it and was like, oh, cringe. No one's ever going to read that zero draft, is what I call it now. Um, but it was like, okay, it has the bones of a good story. It just definitely needed some like maturity to go into it. And so it was just the right timing, I think, for all of it.
Yeah, and
And yeah.
yeah, when I started again, the thing that I picked up was a story that I had in my head since high school, and I just never was able to figure it out. And then I came back to it, and it was waiting. It was there doing it. I still like. I have all these things I had ideas from high school, and some of them will never see the light of day. And sometimes I'll just reach in and like grab elements from them and like pull them out. And like, okay, the rest of this goes in the trash, but these things come back.
Yeah, totally.
So for this series, you got one, and the next one are they standalone stories in the same world, or are they more like a continuing series with one story?
No, they're definitely a continuing series with one story. The sorry. Even though I'm a mom, I'm like super bad at multitasking. Yeah, it all follows the same continual story. I have other ones planned that won't be quite the same. I mean, they'll be more like standalone style. But for this one, it starts and follows the story of Farah, who's one main character. And she's a kind of just a small town village girl, super naive, super like, I just want to see the world. Like, everything is great. And everyone around her is kind of like, you know nothing of the world. And so that's kind of her, you know, her thing. And then it also follows the story of Askin, who I kind of talked about him a little bit earlier. He's part fairy, part elf. So he kind of has a foot in both worlds. And no one really likes him. And mostly just because, I guess racially he doesn't fit in anywhere. He's an orphan, kind of just living life, trying to survive kind of a thing. So they're both kind of social outcasts in a way. And this story, the whole series is called like the Anchor and Vessel series. It follows their story, their quest to save the world and all that kind of good things that we expect in fantasy, at least that I expect in fantasy.
So is it a planned trilogy or more? What do you think?
Yeah, planned trilogy for this one. I have, like I mentioned, obviously book one just came out, and then I have book two that I'm slogging my way through the drafting right now. And book three, while I haven't written any of it, I'm definitely more of a planner than a pantser, so I have kind of the rough outline done of that one too. So I know how the series ends. I just don't have all the details figured out yet.
And how old are the characters in this series? At least at the start, I mean, not, you know.
Well, I guess if we were comparing them to say like human ages, they would be young adults, like, you know, just they both just come of age. Now, because both of them are like elves, or by legal definition within the world, that makes them actually quite a bit older than, 18 or 19. They're more like 40 and 45. But that's just a world building thing. So, like in a lot of fantasy, the elves of my world live a lot longer lives than the other peoples. Um, but for all intents and purposes, they're young adults. They'd be like, I imagine them being like uh, college students if they were in our world. If you saw them walking on the street, downtown New York or whatever.
And you classify these as young adult books, right? I think I saw that on there.
Yes. Mostly because it just kind of follows what I consider to be the themes of a lot of young adult books. It's like it's a coming of age story, essentially. So, I mean, by that definition, it kind of falls into young adult, I think, too. But you won't find any like, sexually explicit content or swearing or gratuitous violence, like that kind of thing, just kind of settles it pretty handily within the YA realm.
I wouldn't disagree with you there because like there is a lot of clean fiction for adults, especially in the indie field. It to me it's the coming of age that does it. Like I think the two main things that are age of the characters, though, if you've got like fantasy race, that's different, and the themes, so which have to do with things that are relevant to kids. Because um, I write like I've written a lot of clean fiction, and not all of it is for kids or for teens.
Yeah. You know what? You make a really good point, and I I actually it's refreshing to hear you say that because I feel like I've been in a battle zone a lot of times when I try and talk about YA, um, the genre as a whole with people because I don't know, I feel like it's definitely shifting in society what is considered appropriate for young adults or adults or I mean, I'm not here to like bring politics or morality or things like that into it other than I mean, I see what you mean that there is definitely a movement of like clean fiction for adults um, out there, and which I appreciate because that's what I prefer to read. But that, yeah, it does definitely have to do more with the themes, I would say, than any of the surface level things. Um, and for that reason too, I would classify my books as YA because, yeah, again, coming of age and identity, discovering who we are, our place in the world, all of that I feel like is definitely more of resonates with a YA audience, probably.
Yeah, and there are adults who read YA because they like those themes, and it's fun discovery for them too. But also,
Absolutely.
um, yeah, I think that it's important that teen fiction's like I get annoyed with people who get on characters in YA novels for being immature. It's like,
Yes,
well, they're 16. What did
that's
you
literally
what
the
did you
point.
expect?
Yeah,
Do you remember being that age?
I know. Yeah, that I totally agree with you. I have really nothing to add other than yes.
It is hard sometimes giving the balance, especially when you've got like a kid who obviously has some maturing to do. You don't want them to be annoying from the get go, but you want them to show that need for growth and like the fact that they still are at that age where everything's turned up to 11 and logic doesn't always take the main part of things.
Yeah.
So, do you tend to write more level-headed characters or more emotional characters?
Um, I try to balance it out. It really just depends on what the story calls for. In Lily's Passage, which is my book that just released in November, because like I mentioned earlier, it is a dual POV story. And so I would say that Farah, the female protagonist, tends to be a little more emotional driven or emotionally driven, whereas Askin, the male narrator, tends to be a little more level-headed. I mean, he's kind of that cool, collected, warrior type. Um, he's just kind of like had to fight to survive. Maybe that's why I like Rogue so much. He kind of reminds me of a Rogue a little bit.
Yeah, it sounds like he's had a
um,
tougher go of it. Like she's from a small town, probably hasn't seen a lot, and he's from, um, he's an outcast.
Yeah, I mean, and you pretty much nailed it. That's exactly what it is. And so he kind of has um, all of his past experiences with the world to kind of temper his emotions, I guess. Not that he doesn't have emotions, which is kind of the whole point of a lot of the book. Um, and not that, Farah, my female protagonist, can't be level-headed sometimes, but it's just in general, yeah, I would say that that's kind of how they fall as far as the narrative goes. And I think, I mean, I like the dual POV style. That's why I picked it for this particular story. That's not always how I write. Sometimes I write third person, even. I'm not like attached. I know some people are diehard, like, I only write first person stories or I only write third person. That's not really me. I kind of just, like I said, for me, it's more important that it serves the story.
Yeah, I'm definitely one of those who has a preference for writing in third person. I've written first person for short stories, but I get tired of it too fast. It's like I like
That is understandable, especially if the main character is annoying, which is a risk that you run when writing and reading first person, I think. That you have to, if your main character is annoying, they need to have growth. Otherwise, your people won't stick around with them for very long.
yeah,
I've
and
definitely stopped reading series because I thought the main character was too annoying and there wasn't enough growth.
yeah, I hear my daughter. She's 18. The stuff she reads, she likes to gripe about the protagonist quite a bit.
Sometimes it's a good book club discussion, like, oh man, this main character, I just can't stand them and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I know a few authors who write flawed leads very, very well. Like I don't like this person, but they are still interesting to me. I think that's it's a good balance when you can do that.
Yeah.
But it does take a work, and it's not good for every story. Sometimes you really want that person to be just somebody you're rooting for from the get-go, other than rooting for, but you still want to get them slapped around a little bit because they deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely. I need 2 more bandanas, so I'm gonna go get those real quick.
Oh, cool. I will help you out. Oh no, I'm being attacked. I'm going to die. No, I'm not.
I was like, oh no, I don't know if I can get there fast enough. Me with my 0 healing spells or anything.
Fireball!
Inventory is full.
My inventory is full. Dang it. I need to go sell some
Oh,
stuff.
wait. Come find me. I have a bag for you.
You have a bag?
This is crazy. So when I was killing wolves, just because, oh, hold on, I'm being attacked. I got like 6 bags. That never happens. That was extremely lucky. So I have like 2 to give you.
You are the bag woman.
I apparently.
I
So
need to
now I
clear out
just
some
need
space
to
so I can actually take the bags.
go.
Delete some of this stuff.
Oop, hold on a second. There we go.
Thank you. That is very helpful.
You are welcome.
Yes, the inventory management and TTRPGs can become an obsession for me. I hate having to leave stuff on, corpses because I don't have a bag.
I do too. Yes, I'm so bad. My husband is like, oh, he hates it when I play things like Skyrim, where it's like you can collect everything. I'm like, yes, collect everything.
I always play like
Or
a gathering
Minecraft.
profession too. Like I'll go and I'll play herbalism so I can go run around the forest picking flowers.
Yes, that's me. That's probably what I'll do with this character once we're done doing stuff. Like, oh, just gonna be a rogue herbalist, which is pretty funny because that's kind of one of my characters in the book is an herbalist, which is probably maybe why I always go that route whenever I have the option because it's just fascinating, as we talked about earlier.
So when you do your flowers in the books, are you making up flowers in world, or are you using ones that exist in our world?
No, so this is one of my favorite parts of writing. Okay, I'm done with bandanas. One of my favorite parts is incorporating real things into the fantasy worlds. And so while, obviously I'm like writing a fantasy story and there's magic and all of these other things involved, all of the plants and the flowers and things, I try and stick really closely to how they are in our world. And so all of the, like, say the flower meanings, in my book, there's like an index of flower meanings and stuff like that. All of that is taken from research that I've done, from history and from modern day usage, and same with like the herbalism, the modern uses of plants. Aloe is good for sunburns, like that sort of thing. So no, I try as much as I can not to create my own plants and things. I every once in a while do, just because it helps the story or there's a reason for it.
Yeah, sometimes you need that
But
magic plant that does something that doesn't exist in this world.
yes, exactly. 100%. But like I said, for
See
me,
you later.
part of the fun of it is
See you around.
like I get to then go with my readers on a journey, and we get to like learn things together. I don't know, maybe it's the teacher in me. I just love being able to approach my readers and be like, hey, not that you should blindly trust my word for it, but all of this is like based on real things. And so if you're learning, oh, that holly is a symbol for foresight back in the Victorian era, oh, well, that was actually, that's present in the book. That it's referenced that is like, an omen of things to come or something like that.
So do you have a
I just find it fascinating.
Do you have a favorite flower that means something?
Hello?
Um,
Travel.
that's a hard, I mean, I don't know, to pick a favorite meaning, it kind of depends on, it kind of depends on the context, I guess, but I really love, okay, so I guess in this I can talk about like Lily, because the book is called Lily's Passage. Well, the symbolism behind the lily, I mean, there's a ton of different things in various cultures um, and other things, but in the Victorian era, the lily was a symbol of purity, and especially a white lily, because even the colors of the flower can have a role in the meaning. Typically, white flowers tend to represent purity or innocence, kind
I
of not
see
too much
that
of a
with
stretch.
I know a little bit about flower language. I know that the color of rose you pick makes a big difference.
Yes, that's a great example, because roses typically, just in a generic sense, are kind of considered to be the flower of love. But, different roses can mean different things. Like a yellow rose often symbolizes friendship. Um, a red rose typically is what you would think of for love. Um, a white rose means something different. It means secrecy, which, if there's anyone listening who then goes to read my book, spoiler, not really a spoiler, it's just a small fun thing, I guess, will be on the inside, knowing, that all of these things, it arose by any other name, or I guess by any other color, means something different, to use a really bad play on the old saying.
Awesome. And I'm sorry, I did derail you from talking about the lilies there.
Oh, no worries. I was just going to say that a white lily specifically represents innocence. And so a lot of times when, I love the image of the lily, because especially like I'm a Christian and, believe in the Bible, and the lily, maybe not as much in the Bible, but definitely in like art, when Christian artwork throughout history and other things like that, the lily is used to represent Christ or the Virgin Mary. And I just think that's very fascinating. Like, oh, that totally makes sense that the lily represents innocence, because in the iconography of, art history and stuff like that, like that makes sense. And so the lily then in Lily's Passage, it's like, okay, well, what does that really mean? Lily's not a character. It's actually a symbol that just means the story is about the passage of innocence. It's a coming of age novel. So it's literally, the title is telling you what the story is about. And I have people asking me like, what does Lily's Passage mean? I'm like, just read the book. Maybe you'll understand. Maybe not. I don't know.
Now I'm thinking, because the one thing that I know very much about lilies is that they are toxic to cats. So I'm wondering if you had a world
Yes.
of cats, what they would think of lilies. And that has my brain going reverse
That-
flower language with cats.
Is fascinating. Yeah, and you know what? That's a really good point, because in a lot of cultures, flowers have different meanings based on, not only based on the mythology, but also on like the different uses for them. So the sunflower is a good example. For the Victorians, sunflowers were a sign of like false riches, that sort of a thing. But if you were to go and talk with an ancient Aztec warrior, the sunflower was actually a symbol of war. So it's like, okay, you can have riches or you can have war. Maybe the two go hand in hand, but it's like
Unfortunately,
a very
yes.
different symbol. Yeah, based on whoever you talk to. See, I need 3 more kobolds.
I think we can get him right over here.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't have a target.
So you mentioned you have a dice collection. So what games do you play with those dice?
Your classic, like, I don't know, TTRPGs, tabletop role-playing games, I think is what that stands for those who aren't familiar with that. So kind of like a D&D. I don't actually prefer D&D. I prefer, there's this weird, or not weird, smaller, lesser-known indie version called Triton game system, which usually we use whenever I play with family or friends or whatever, because it actually is like a base 10 system rather than a base 20. It's a little bit different. I think it's a little simpler too, and there's a little more freedom for the DM with world building and other things. Which, I mean, I half the time am the DM, so that is why I kind of like that one. It's less things to keep track of. So your classic D&D, but then also, like I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, I am a homeschool mom, and so even though my oldest child is only 5. I mean, we just started kind of doing kindergarten with her this year. A lot of our like math kind of comes from playing dice games and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of the stuff that I like to do. Plus, I think they're just cool. I also play Magic the Gathering.
Oh,
I like
awesome.
to use dice as counters.
Yeah, I'm starting mine. I've got a, I think it used to be a spaghetti sauce jar, but I took the label off a long time ago, filled with dice, such as my current collection. But I would like more.
Yes, I have a problem. Whenever we go to game stores, I'm like, oh, look at the dice. And my husband's like, no, we have plenty. Even though he's a bit of a dice goblin himself, too. He just likes the really expensive ones. Like, oh, yes, this $100 set of metal dice. I'm like, babe, we really can't do that right now.
I know, it's always a struggle. My husband was online the other day, is like, Heidi, you really think I should buy a spear right now, right? For killing boar? And I'm like, Matt, you don't need a spear for killing boar, dear, right?
Light be with you. Go with honor, friend. What can I do for you? Get it. For the Alliance.
Yay, level up.
Yay.
I'm gonna talk to my trainer and see if he's got anything cool for me.
Well,
Cool.
go with
I am
honor.
very close to leveling, too.
Now, let's see. So,
I'm just going to go around outside here.
when you do your TTRPGs, when you're DMing, do you like to try to put that in your own? Have you ever tried to put a tabletop game in your own world from your books?
Yes, so that's actually how I got into DMing, because so my husband had supported the Kickstarter campaign for this, for Triton gaming system back when it came out in like, I don't know, 2017 or something. So he backed that. We have the book for it. And then as I was working on Lily's Passage, and like this was prior to, I think this was prior to publication even. I was like still writing it and working on the next, like the revision, the first revision. I was like, man, I felt like my world was just very bland, I mean, it really started out as like that basic fantasy world based on medieval Europe. And I was like, this is just kind of too lame. I don't know, for lack of a better word. And so I was like, okay, I really need to flesh out some other areas of the world that I haven't really treated, or even that don't appear in the book necessarily. And I was like, well, what's a really great way to do that? D&D campaigns, or in this case, Triton campaign. And so that's how it started. I was like, okay, everyone. Our first initial party was like 2 of my brothers and my husband, and then one of our other friends from our church who's a big nerd also. I was like, okay, guys, we're going to start this campaign and it's set in my story world. And you guys are all going to be, they started off as like refugees coming to one of the major cities, Belhaven in the book. And so I'm like, now we're just going to figure some things out. And
What can I help you
that's
with?
kind of how it all began. So, yes, to answer your question, that is literally why everything started, was because I needed help figuring out what my world really looked like. And a lot of really cool things came of that. I feel like even there are some scenes even within the book that people who played in that original campaign will be like, wait a second, I remember us doing that. Some of them happen towards the end of the book, so I won't say what they are because, spoilers.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've been poking at trying to make a TTRPG system for my superhero series, but I want to like totally reinvent the wheel because I want it to fit superheroes, and it's been a long process. But I think I do love DMing, just because it lets you come up with scenarios, and then you don't really have to decide how they play out because your players will do that for you.
Well,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of the best in both worlds. You get to be surprised and set things up at the same time.
Yeah. I honestly, I was trading off DMing with one of our friends who also does DMing just to kind of give a break for each of us. But at this point, I was like, okay, guys, I need to set the next, like, I can't even be a player in the next campaign that we do just because it got to be too much with me trying to manage, you know, writing my actual books and then DMing. And then, oh yeah, also my 3 children who I'm home with all the time and I homeschool and church things and life. I was like, okay, too much. I need to take a step back from DMing. It's served its purpose right now. Now I just need to like, chill.
So what quest do you have right now? I've got to go over and pick up grapes at the vineyard, kill Garrick
Let's
Padfoot,
see.
kill Snuffle Snout, who is a big kobold who is...
Oh wait,
We probably should have
where
gotten him
did
while we
this?
were in the mine. I didn't see him though.
Let's see. Okay, so I have um the Padfoot one. I think you said that one too. Oh, I have Snuffle Snout also that I need to do, and then
Closer.
Millie's Harvest. Is that one that you have?
Yeah, that's the one you put to pick up the grapes in the vineyard. Which the
Oh, okay.
Gareth
And then
Padfoot should be, or Padfoot should be over there too.
okay, great. And then I have 2 that are 100% already. I just need to turn in, I think, in Goldshire and Lion's Pride Inn. I actually don't know where that is,
That's outside
but
of the start zone, so we'd have to leave and run
okay.
along the road. But let's go get
Yeah, yeah.
those. Let's get those grapes and Gareth Proudfoot real quick, because that's right over here.
Cool. And as far as let's see, as far as like armor and stuff, I have this cloak that I picked up that's 3 armor. I don't know if you want it. I picked up another better one. Do
Sure,
you
I'll
have
take
any
it.
armor?
No, all I've got so far is the starting armor, and I picked up some gloves.
It's not probably super classy or anything, but maybe
It's a
better than
ragged
nothing.
cloak. It looks cute. I will take it. Oh my, those wolves are howling at us. Ooh.
I know I had to turn the in-game sound down a little because the wolves were getting a little too obnoxious for me. It's like my kids like to make animal noises like that all day. I'm like, oh, enough.
At least they're not saying 6, 7.
Oh, they are. My brother, their loving uncle taught them that. I'm like, why? You really didn't need to do that. Thank you. Of course, I have no idea what it means, but it's
No.
just
No,
funny.
I don't think anybody has an idea what it means. I think that's the
Yeah,
joke.
honestly, yeah, I think you're right. It's just a silly thing. It's like a weird fad, like most fads are.
Yeah, mine will do that occasionally just to mess with me. There we go. So... Now, are there any places that you've been? I mean, you mentioned the Southwest in like Arizona, but is there any place you've been that has inspired locations in your book?
Um, Definitely. So I actually went to college at Northern Arizona University, which is up in Flagstaff, Arizona. Um, so I mean, for I don't know, people outside of Arizona, it's basically most people think that Arizona is just a desert. Um, that's like southern Arizona. There's actually a ton of different like climates and things all throughout Arizona. So Flagstaff is a lot more like Colorado because it's very mountainous and a little bit more of like a temperate climate. I don't know if that's the right word. It snows there really bad actually. And so I going to school in Flagstaff and living in the mountains, that kind of actually inspired the location of Bellhaven, which is a major city in the book. Um, with its, it's mountainous, it's very like very much pine trees and aspen trees that are just have this beautiful golden color right around fall time. Um, and also, I mean, Flagstaff is right up nearby the Grand Canyon, which I've also been to. Um, and the Grand Canyon, I mean, there's a whole, basically within the world, my world, the elves live in a canyon very similar to the Grand Canyon. Like that's kind of their whole thing. I don't know.
Do they have like what kind of like houses they have? Like Pueblo style or what?
Um, most, I mean, not to get too much into the nitty-gritty politics, I guess, of my story world, but the the palace and like the more fortified dwellings, I suppose, are like carved into the face of the canyon, much like cliff dwellings that you would see if you go and, come down here and visit any sort of um, pueblos or things like that. But then others are also made of stone that have been quarried and carried into the canyon. Um, at least, I mean, that's of course within the Elven capital, but otherwise, throughout the story in Lily's Passage, which is what most people are going to be familiar with at the outset, it's just houses made of stone or wood, kind of whatever natural resources are most abundant around them or around wherever the people are living. So usually your normal things, I guess.
Ro, you're being chased.
Am I?
No, not
Okay.
anymore. He's dead.
Okay.
I have a bad
Let's see. I
feeling.
got my harvest.
I
So,
think Gareth Padfoot might be up here. I keep saying Proudfoot like the
okay.
Hobbit, but I think he's at this little camp up here. And it looks like somebody's already killed him, so we have to wait for him to respawn.
Oh no.
So
Yep.
is the between the two characters, is it a romance?
Um, yeah, there is an element of romance. Um, which, I wouldn't classify myself as a romance writer, and I've kind of intentionally not marketed it as like quote romantasy, which I know is like super popular right now. Um, because while there is kind of a love story that happens, it's not really the main focus of the plot. The main focus is the fact that there's a world at war and there's, people dying and they don't know why, and a mysterious, you know, king who's killing everybody. And, that's really the main thrust of the plot. And a missing princess and all of these sorts of things. Um, but yeah, there is a little bit of a romance too in there.
There he is.
That was very simple.
Yay, level.
Yeah. Yay.
Yeah, I like writing romance in my books. I don't do it in every one, but it's, I would say, by far quite in a majority. And just because it's an interesting relationship dynamic to explain, and I think if you're or to explore. Plus, it like if you don't put in a romance, you have to be very like people will assume there's going to be one if you have a male and a female protagonist. You know, it's like
Yes, absolutely. So it's like they either have to be like related or it's a romance. Is kind of how I feel like it's perceived a lot of times. And even then, it depends on what, what you're reading. Ick. Anyway.
yeah, you have to make it pretty clear. I think if you want to pull off a just friends between, you have to like telegraph it pretty hard.
Yeah, I agree with that. And kind of like what you said, I definitely I don't, I mean, not that I have any books that other ones that I've published, but in the ones that I have planned out that I've been working on, there's not romance in every other one either. It just happened that this particular story it kind of started as a love story, and that's just how it was. So, yeah.
All right, gotta go give this person back their grapes.
Yes, that's where I've got to go too. No, I totally agree with you that I think one reason that romance is so popular, either as a genre or just as a trope, I mean, like you said, it's a really relatable thing for many readers. I mean, and even if they themselves aren't in a romantic relationship, it's something that a lot of people can relate to and understand. So I don't know. I think it can definitely make for some interesting characters and interesting dynamics
Yeah,
when done well.
yeah, and it can
Obviously, it
raise
can
the
be
stakes
too.
too.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was. I've written YA with romance in it before, and then I've my most recent book that I published was a romance between a widower who's 42 and a woman who's 36, and it was just so refreshing because they don't have time for any drama. And I'm like, oh yeah. And then I start writing younger characters again in my next project. I'm like, oh yeah, here's the drama.
Yes. I know. It's so funny you say that because I have kind of I don't know, a similar, what's the word for it, plot line in a different book that I've kind of been playing with, where it's like, yeah, they're a little bit older. They don't really, like you said, they don't really have the drama that they're, involved in. It's just, okay, we kind of have it figured out more or less, not as many hormones raging.
Yeah, exactly. Where is the grape lady? I can't find the grape lady. Or grape guy, I guess. Like, who are we supposed to get
Oh,
the
he's
snack
upstairs.
to? Oh,
There's
okay.
there's some stairs. Yeah, and if you go up there, he's up there. I don't know if you can see my thing
I think I'm
on
on
the
the
map.
wrong staircase. I think I need to go around.
To be honest, I kind of just found it by accident, doing the thing that annoys most people when I game with them, where it's like, I'm just wandering around, I'm lost, I don't know where I'm going. I was like, oh, this is actually where I need to be. Cool.
I remember always getting lost in this stupid building. I don't know what it is about the layout. It just does not make sense to me. There we are.
I agree. But that's how I feel about like almost all of the buildings in games. It's like amazing that I can find my way around in the real world at all.
Yeah, I play Lord of the Rings online. I don't know how much time I've spent just trying to find the way out of the prancing pony.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. Well, I don't play Lord of the Rings online, but that would be me if I did.
Don't get me started on Goblin Town. Goblin Town is the worst.
Or I don't know if you play Minecraft, but like the amount of times that I will build a base and then go adventuring and never find my base again because I get lost. I mean, that's just, par for the course for me.
Oh, yeah.
Need help?
All right. I think we should run to Goldshire now. Get some new territory under our belt.
Yeah, that sounds good. I have a quest down there. We never found Snuffle Snout, unless you did, but
He's supposed to be in the mines, and we were in the mines, so I'm guessing he probably had been killed right before we ran through, and we just didn't see him.
yeah, oh well. I say Goldshire sounds good.
See you around.
Talk to Teresa here. Yay, she's excited.
Mm-hmm. Gotta get that lucky coin, or throw the lucky coin in, or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's this lucky coin in the Stormwind City Trade District fountain.
Hello. Safe travel.
Is that this?
My favorite zone in this game is actually from Burning Crusade. It's the Blood Elf start zone, just because the music is so gorgeous there, and it's very pretty. It's got like golden leaves on all the trees and stuff. It's very Lothlorien.
Ooh, very cool. Yeah, I haven't explored all of the start zones yet. I just haven't really been playing long enough, but it's one of those games that I do quite enjoy, so I'll probably get there at some point. Yeah, the amount of running in this game, though, I mean, I like it because I'm always like, oh, squirrel, resource to collect, or whatever, especially when, like, I'm doing herbalism. But I can see why people would not like that. If they're just like, I just want to go kill my things and my quests and get to where I need to go.
I don't even think this is one of the worst games for that, though. There's others that are much more draggy and like more of a grind than this one. Oh, it's Darkmoon Faraday.
Wow.
Light be with you. Light bless you, King's Honor friend, or the Alliance.
There we go.
What can I
That
do
was
for you?
naturally a lot of quests here.
See you around.
Ah, yes, spiders.
Safe travel.
Gotta kill all those spiders. Looks like there might be a quest inside the inn too. I think I've got swing in there.
Mm-hmm.
Good day to
Ah,
you.
yes.
See you later.
Oh.
Need something?
Looks like there's quite a few quests in here.
Ooh, I know what I want to do. Let's go get a cat.
A cat?
Yes, a cat.
Yes. Okay, show me the way. And of course, immediately, the song by Styx just popped into my head.
Yeah.
I'm like an old soul when it comes to music, so pretty much if it released before I was born, I probably listened to it on the regular.
Yeah, I got my Spotify Wrapped for the year, and it thought I was 61 because I listened to way too much 80s music, apparently.
Ah, I love 80s music. If you had to pick a genre and or band or whatever, what would you pick for listening to on the regular?
So I listen to a decent amount of classic rock, and that's probably gonna be it. I really like let's think. Starset is my current favorite band. They do like sci-fi themed rock, which I like.
I like their name. It kind of fits.
Yeah, everything's space themed. Here we go. This is the cats. This lady sells you cats.
Good day to you.
Wait, what? That's amazing.
Expensive.
Oh, I don't have enough money for a
Course.
cat.
I know, I was like, oh man. I have 6 silver.
We need 40 silver to get a cat. I would really want an orange tabby.
Have a good one.
But you can look, these are the cats you can get. I love them all.
That is so fun.
Yes, and they will follow you around. I love cats.
As do I. I'm definitely a cat person over a dog person.
Do you have cats?
I have one of each, but yes, I have a cat who's like maybe 12 years old or so. She's a American long hair, super fluffy and friendly.
As of yesterday, we have 4.
Nice. That is, you're well on your way to becoming a crazy cat lady, and I applaud you for that.
I think we've kind of passed it. Like, the thing is, my husband also likes cats, and the reason we got number 4 was because I went to a cat cafe for my birthday, And there was
That exists?
they do, yeah. There's a cat cafe in Charleston, and there was a sad, shy black cat, and my daughter, who her birthday was yesterday, fell in love with him, and just started campaigning to bring him home.
I mean, I can't really blame her.
So we brought him home. She named him Kirby. But
Oh, I love that. Like Kirby from video games.
yeah, she said because he's a glutton and just kind of absorbs everything. But no, we've had Alfred for about 3 years now. He just kind of showed up in the neighborhood. He's a big orange hobo. And he showed up in the neighborhood and we took him in. And then we have the princess, Miss Vivian, who we've had for a little under 2 years. She was a kitten that my mom had a litter of kittens, and Claire, my other daughter, really wanted one, so we went and let her pick one out, and she has this black and white fluffy princess who is Vivian. And then this, like right before Christmas, I made the mistake of looking at the local humane society website, and they had this litter of gray kittens, and I was just like heart sick because I wanted one so much. And I come home from work one day and one just runs out to greet me. Matt went and got it for me. So that's Prism. And then Kirby. So those are our 4.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yep, I just have my one. Her name is Artemis, like the goddess of the hunt.
That is cute.
Which I come to find out is a really common cat name. I was like, oh, I thought I was clever, but oh well.
It does make sense though, because they if they were any goddess, that would be of the hunt, because they like we don't have to worry about any small rodents around this place.
Yeah, although I don't think she really is that much of a hunter, which is kind of funny. But oh well. I don't know. I think at this point she's just like living her life. Like I said, she's 12. She puts up with our dog and with the 3 kids and
yeah, at that
everything
point,
else.
she's basically retired.
Yeah, pretty much. Maybe in her youth, she was a little bit more, into hunting, but who knows? You don't use a shield, do you?
Nah, that would be a warrior or paladin thing. You can just sell it.
That's what I was gonna do. I just thought I would ask.
No, at 3 silver, that's still not enough to buy a cat.
I know, and I have 6. Also, probably not going to help you.
All right, if you could tell people one thing about your book, what would it be?
I would say, so my book, the reason I wrote it is that I want to shine light into the dark places of the world. And that's what I hope to accomplish with my books and my fiction, well, really with all of my writing. And so, I mean, at its core, yes, there's romance, yes, there's magic, and it's in a fantasy world, but really it's the story of trying to find hope and battle the forces of darkness. And so I guess if I could just say one thing about it, I just would say that if there are people who feel like they are, searching for a light in the darkness, those are the people I'm writing for, the people who feel like they maybe go unheard or unnoticed. That's kind of where my heart is as a writer. A lot of times in my youth was that person. I just felt very unseen. And I just kind of hope to help combat that, because there's a lot of noise in the world and a lot of, it's kind of hard to, I don't know. I would say that it's kind of hard to know what to look for and who to go to find encouragement, because there's a lot of different things that promise encouragement or hope that end up being empty. I'm not saying that I have all the answers at all. That's not what I'm trying to get at. I just, I believe in a God that does offer hope and lasting peace. And while I wouldn't say that my book is, necessarily, quote, Christian, I am a Christian, and those faith themes definitely come out in the book. So I'm hoping that, that resonates with some people who are looking for more than just your average, good entertainment.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Not really agree, because there's nothing wrong with writing explicitly Christian fiction, or there's nothing wrong about just writing stuff that's just for fun, you know. That
Of
said,
course.
I think that when you're writing from a basis of something, it's gonna come out in the wash, so to speak. It's gonna be present even if it's not the point. I find that with the themes I keep writing about over and over again, just in the choices my characters make and stuff like that. My superhero stuff was I write in this world, so I had to make a call about which of my characters are believers and which aren't, just for plot, like for that. It sounds funny to call it world building because it's our world, but that's basically what it is.
Right.
It's like who has
Yeah.
what background. So it's always been a thing. What is going on here? This is interesting.
They are getting the well rested bonus, I think. There's like a
Just hanging
weird
out.
thing that I don't understand very well, but if you're like by this little shelter thing, you can increase your something or other. I
That's
sounded smart for a
interesting.
second, but
I don't think
yeah.
that was in the retail WoW version I played, so I was like,
No, I think it's specific to this version.
cool. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I did say we're going to be about an hour, and we are running up against that. Or probably actually a little bit over. Why don't you
Yeah.
tell people one more time where to find your stuff and your books and best ways to follow you?
Sure. So the best way to, find me, I have a website. It's sydneyfrusti.com, my first and last name, .com. You can find that in the link in the video description, I believe. And then the best way to stay in contact, like if you just want to get regular updates and stuff, I have a newsletter that I send out every month. And I also post blog posts. I try and do them more frequently than once a month, but who knows? Don't always get on that. If you visit my website, you can become a lore keeper. That's kind of what I call my email subscribers. Email list is definitely the best way. I am on social media on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. You can find those links on my website too, and Substack, which is my newsletter platform. But I just don't really post as often on social media. I've kind of taken a step back from that. So you can visit my website, join my email list. That's definitely the best way to, keep in contact. You can shoot me an email. My email's on my website. I like to talk to people who read my stuff. I try and respond unless you look like a spammer, and then I might not respond, but just whatever. Don't look like a spammer, I guess.
Yeah, I get so many of those. The new ones is the ones that use ChatGPT to try to make it look like they actually read your book. Those
Yes,
ones drive
I've
me
been
nuts.
getting bombarded with those lately, and it's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, they have such effusive praise of your book too. Like your book's gonna change the world, and it's got all these wonderful things about it, and you're like, yeah, you're a bot.
Light blessings.
Yeah.
Safe travels.
All right. Well, I'm going to call it for the night. Thank you for coming with us and for sharing about your books and stuff. And I hope people get a chance to check you out. If you're catching this live, if you're not catching this live, I mean, you're doing the playback. I did put the links in the description so you can find Sydney and find out about her stuff and follow her wherever you need to. And thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much.